Get ready to play with your paints today because we're painting abstracted watercolor roses. Hello, my friends. My name is Shayda Campbell. Welcome to another 50 Ways to Fill a Sketchbook video. I'm working in my Canson XL watercolor sketchbook. It's super inexpensive and great for practicing. We have done so many fun videos in this series, from the lavender to these really easy butterflies. This was actually a Patreon live art hour. If you want to consider supporting the channel, $10 on Patreon gets you access to live content. Oh gosh, what else did we do? Beautiful sketchy lilacs, and then we did these watercolor summer floral doodles, and then, oh my gosh, you guys, I have got something good coming up for you. This is my birthday episode coming up in August. You can see it's a lot of flowers. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that one next month. That said, let's talk supplies. Obviously, I've got my sketchbook. We're using a Mungyo set of 48 pan watercolor paints, but use the paints that you have. I've got 2 glasses of clean water, and then I'm probably gonna do most of this with my number 8 round brush. I do have a number 12 here as well, and frankly, when you're abstracting forms, it doesn't hurt to go a little bigger and use a brush that you're maybe not that comfortable with. It can help you kind of make things a little messy, which is good. We'll talk more about that in a second. For now, here are the colors that I'm using. We are going to use magenta, so I'm wetting that cake of paint, picking up the pigment and bringing it over to the palette. We're also going to use Naples yellow, and I am using a blend of Naples yellow, magenta, and white. You can see the one Naples yellow is, I didn't really wash my brush fully, and I got a little magenta there, and I like that. I'm also going to mix a little magenta with white. So we're mixing a lot of whites in. That's just a personal preference. You don't have to mix white into your watercolors. Some people prefer not to. You can always lighten your colors with water. So I've gotten a little off track here. What are my colors? My colors are magenta, magenta and white, a blend of Naples yellow, white, and magenta, and then a blend of Naples yellow and white, and then I've got olive brown and deep phthalo green for my greens. Here's what it looks like on the paper. Magenta, ooh, beautiful dark pink. Then we've got magenta and white, this nice cool pink. Naples yellow with magenta and white, Naples yellow and white. Then a mix of olive brown and deep phthalo green, and deep phthalo green. All right, let's get started. Mixing up our colors ahead of time allows us to really play, and painting abstracted roses is really another way to say we're painting these loose florals, and loose florals is all about playing. We just want to get the paint on the page and see what it does and not worry at all about perfection or really worry too much about realism. We're painting the feeling of roses. We want to capture the spirit. If that sounds a little hokey, sure, but I think it helps you kind of loosen up. So we've got some nice colors here, the colors that speak to me of a rose garden, and I'm just trying to capture the forms without worrying too much about any level of realism. Here's how I'm generally approaching each flower. I start with some dotting in the center, a few dots, and then I go around usually with a lighter color or just a different color, and I do some curving brush strokes, and then I kind of move outward with a watery paint and do these big, soft C-curve brush strokes, and then maybe I release a little color into the wet area and just let it flow out and see what it does. It's all about those little happy accidents. I love the way the pinks and yellows blend and bleed, and I love butting a little bit of that olive brown up against the pinks and letting that kind of blend ever so slightly. I'm making roses that are messy spirals and broken circles and just blends of color. I just want to see what the paint does on the page, really. The idea of abstraction is basically the same as saying loose florals. I read a great line on Wikipedia: abstraction exists along a continuum. So even when we try to go for the most realism in our painting, theoretically it can still be said to be somewhat abstract because we're never going to get that perfect realism. I read on Wikipedia that abstraction indicates a departure from reality, and this departure can be slight, partial, or complete. So a lot of times when we think about abstract, I think we actually think about like a non-figurative or non-objective piece of art, like a Jackson Pollock, like a big messy splatter. But actually, abstract can just mean that little slight departure from reality. So these roses are really not realistic. But you can still tell that they're roses. I've abstracted the forms, and how much you abstract the form of the rose is totally up to you. So I just think that's the most fun. Like, isn't that exciting that you get to decide how much you're going to change that rose? If it's just going to be a splotch of pink with a barely there leaf, or if it's going to be a little bit more towards the actual reality of the rose. It's totally up to you. That's what this play is all about, and art really is play. As I always say, creativity is play. Anyone can do it. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I think understanding things like this about art helps you to be more fearless as a burgeoning creative. So yeah, I'm excited. Okay, and I am actually excited for a couple reasons. The second is that I am doing something different today. This is actually my practice work. I rarely show you my practice pieces, but today you got to see my kind of warm up. We mixed up our color palette and we got to play and abstract these roses. Now I want to continue with this practice of using the same colors and abstracting the form of the rose, but I want to create something that's just slightly more polished, and so I'm going to share that with you now. I really can't tell you exactly what abstracting a rose is going to look like for you, but I want to give you a recap of what my process is so that you can follow it and play on your own. So I chose and mixed up my colors. Then I did a little warm up and just kind of saw what I could do. How do I like to abstract these forms? What do I like? What works and what doesn't? And then I flipped over a fresh page. I'm working with the same colors and I'm just playing. I'm just having fun and making these big, messy roses that are made up of splotches of color and thin and thick brush strokes, messy spirals and broken circles, and I'm just allowing everything to kind of get really close and tight so some of these colors will blend and bleed. I'm trying to do leaves in just one or two smooth brush strokes. And for me here, the focus is going to be on keeping all these abstracted forms right in the center of the page so that I create a beautiful composition, so that even if some of these roses are really messy and weird, the way I place them together on the page at least will be pleasing, and I know I like the colors. So in that way, I'm pretty confident that I'm going to paint something that I really like, and I hope you like it too, and I hope you'll follow along. Well, guys, I had so much fun painting these loose, abstracted watercolor roses with you, and I hope you'll try them for yourself. If you want to hang out with me some more, head over to the Patreon platform where you get lots of other Shayda Campbell goodies like a live art hour each and every month. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button before you go.